is Hoosier Ag This Week. I'm Andy Eubank from Hoosier Ag Today. Welcome to Hat This Week. Welcome to my Hat broadcast partner, Eric Pfeiffer.
Thanks, Andy. Here we are again. Today, we'll review the week in agriculture, news, and markets. Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin looks at how long the hot and humid conditions will last. And we have a review of the just concluded crop tour.
Eric, you have spent a lot of time at the Indiana State Fair, and much of the week's news comes from there. Although not all of it is about the fair, that's just a great place to congregate and hold meetings, even a congressional farm bill listening session.
Yes, we spoke with a couple of Indiana congressmen about that, and also caught up with former USDA trade official Ted McKinney. Also, Gary Truitt talks with the newest Purdue Women in Ag honorees.
We'll begin with a State Fair winner. 8 showmanship champion and reserve champion exhibitors hit the Coliseum dirt Sunday night to show how well they could handle 4 different species. They were vying for the coveted title of Supreme Champion Showman. For this competition, the judges were judging the 4-H'er, and the one who caught their eye is Carly Taylor of DeKalb County, who gets emotional when talking about the importance of this event.
I do believe it's a very big deal. I competed in this at my county fair twice, and I won it this last year, and showmanship has always been something that's been really important to me, so winning at State Fair really just tops everything off. I don't think it's really kicked in yet, but I'm really happy. I know all the people that are around me are supporting me, so it's good.
Showing 4 different animals is a challenge. It helps if you have experience with them, and Taylor does.
I've actually shown all the species that we showed. I grew up showing pigs and cattle, and I showed sheep for 2 or 3 years, so I was pretty comfortable with most of them. However, I was a little rusty on the sheep, so that was probably what I was most nervous for, but I think I did pretty good with what I had.
She tipped her hat to reserve champion Madison Haynes, also of DeKalb County, when explaining her showmanship preparation.
I have pigs at home, so I walk my pigs every day since I won goat showmanship knowing I was going to be in this. And I also have dairy beef feeders at home, so I show those the same way I would show a dairy beef steer. So I work with those nonstop since I've won, and also, my best friend, Maddie Haynes, which was reserve, she shows sheep, so I went to her house, and she helped me with sheep a lot. So it was a group activity.
Both are 9-year 4-H members. See them with the animals, the winner announcements, and the other exhibitors in the hat video at HoosierAgToday.com and our YouTube and Facebook. Now, at the Indiana State Fair, the Cheese Lady was back this year. Eric Pfeiffer is back with that.
For the 15th time, Sarah Kaufman from Wisconsin traveled to the fairgrounds to create a sculpture made entirely of cheese. Now, American Dairy Association Indiana's Dairy Bar has been serving delicious dairy products at the Indiana State Fair for 80 years. So, the Cheese Lady made her cheese sculpture this year, a replica of the Dairy Bar itself.
Our Dairy Bar sculpture this year is made from 2,000 pounds of Indiana cheddar, made by Pace Dairy in Crawfordsville. They make this beautiful cheese, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 640-pound blocks, day after day after day, made from beautiful Indiana milk to beautiful Indiana cheddar. This is the very same cheese that you get at Kroger in the dairy case. The little bars, the 8-ounce, 1-pound, 2-pound bars, this is the very same cheese. It's fabulous.
In case you're wondering, sculpting cheese is Kaufman's full-time job. You can learn more about her and check out the big cheese sculpture in the hat video at HoosierAgToday.com. Now, while at the Dairy Bar last week for the big cheese reveal, I just happened to run into professional eating champion Joey Chestnut. You probably know him best for eating dozens of hot dogs on the 4th of July, but he also enjoys ice cream and milk.
Well, I love milk. I think I hold the record for fastest gallon of milk down in 13 seconds. But today I'm taste testing all the milkshakes at the Dairy Bar and eating them quick.
And just how quick? My timer showed 14 seconds to eat a whole milkshake. And what was his favorite?
Oh my God, yeah, it was a close call. I like the strawberry and the salted caramel. And I think the winner was strawberry.
See Chestnut down that milkshake in the same hat video. You can find it again at HoosierAgToday.com or on our social media channels at HoosierAgToday. Well, the Pro Farmer Crop Tour confirmed what we already suspected here in Indiana, that the corn crop could be big. Day 2 of the eastern leg of the Pro Farmer Crop Tour spent time on Tuesday in Indiana before stopping in Bloomington, Illinois. Pro Farmer editor Brian Grady talks about the corn numbers across Indiana.
Indiana corn yield, 193.48. That was up 7.6% from last year. When you look at the ear counts, that's a huge driver there. So we're over 102 ears in 230-foot a row there, up 3% from last year, but up 3.8% from the 3-year average. The grain length, just over 7 inches. If you look at year ago, 6.8 roughly, and then the 3-year average 6.65.
He says the soybeans look promising, but they'll need moisture to help fill out the pods as it's drier than in the past.
We had beans at 1239.7, down 3.2%. It's drier, 3.33 this year, and last year 3.47. The 3-year average is 4.13, so it's drier, 4% drier than last year and 19.4% drier than what it was for the 3-year average. And so will we have the moisture to finish out and fill those pods out that are there? You're looking at your pod counts in a 3x3 square, down 3.2% from last year, but up 5.8% for the 3-year average. And I think it all comes down to the moisture situation. The growth stage is just a little bit more mature than what we've seen historically here in Indiana.
When it was all said and done on Friday, Pro Farmer predicted Indiana corn at 200 bushels per acre and Indiana soybeans at 62 bushels per acre. Both would be records if realized. They do present that with the caveat that more moisture is needed to reach that number. Nationally, they're predicting a record 177 bushels per acre on corn, and for soybeans, a whopping 51.2 bushels per acre. I'm Eric Pfeiffer. Let's turn our attention now to Andy Eubank with the markets.
Thanks, Eric. And both Thursday and Friday, extremely weak to end the week. Numbers coming up. First, market analysis and some thoughts on what's happening in the markets. For that, I turn to Bob the Bear Utterback, Utterback Marketing Services, right at the end of Friday trade.
If you listen to our reports over the last month, we've been building up and talking about can the Pro Farmer Tour, which would be the first kind of objective look at the crop, come up with any surprises to reignite the bull to drive the market back to the levels we saw this spring. And with the big, long, fund position still long, everybody was putting on the bet that the crop was not as good as everybody thought. As we progressed, it became pretty obvious pretty quickly that there was nothing to surprise the market. To say the crop, the Central and Eastern Corn Belt was good, and the Western Corn Belt has been hurt, but not a disaster. But overall, the bulls have decided to take their money and go to the sideline.
Bob Utterback there with Utterback Marketing Services, 800-832-1488. Settlements now from Friday trade. September corn 538 3/4, 11 1/4 lower. Deese goes to 537, down almost 14 cents. Beans again led to the downside with September 1293 3/4, 29 1/4 lower. Novi down 29 1/4 at 1290 3/4. September Chicago wheat 714 1/4, down 13 1/4. October live cattle 129.05, 90 cents up, better than $1 higher on the October lean hogs, almost 2 up, 88.62 up $1.70. You're up to date on the markets. I'm Andy Eubank on Hoosier Ag This Week.
For nearly a century, your local farmer-owned cooperative has served this community by delivering outstanding customer service, industry expertise, quality products, and leading-edge technology to our agriculture and energy partners. Today, we're committed to cultivating success in the communities we call home by providing America's farmers with the supplies and outstanding service they need to do their part to feed the world. Agronomy, liquid fuels, home heat, grain marketing, animal nutrition, feed, and more. Co-Alliance, your local farmer-owned cooperative, continues to be your resource for whatever the day, month, or season brings your way.
Solar energy does more than just provide electricity to Indiana homes and businesses. Privately funded solar projects can mean millions of tax dollars for our communities and for farmers. In some Indiana counties, solar projects have helped to provide high-speed broadband for many people. Solar projects help schools and libraries, make road improvements, and more. And solar projects mean we can provide affordable, reliable, and clean energy for Indiana's future. Learn more at HoosiersForRenewables.com.
It is a hot and humid weekend here in Indiana. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with Hoosier Ag Today's Indiana Farm Forecast Weekend Edition, brought to you by Seed Genetics Direct, the largest Ohio-based independent seed company and the Eastern Corn Belt's fastest-growing independent seed company. Visit seedgeneticsdirect.com for more information. So here's the story. We have a lot of heats and a lot of humidity that's going to be peaking right over the top of us as we move through the next day and a half to 2 days. Sunshine, blue sky everywhere for your Saturday, and we're going to be seeing the humidity values climb. It's going to be oppressive, I think, by the time the day is done. Overnight tonight, seeing a little bit of a warm front try and sneak through Indiana, so clouds are here definitely. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure we see anything more than a few hundredths to a tenth. With coverage at 50 to 60% at best, we could end up being a lot lower than that. This thing is running out of gas, and all it's doing is serving to prop up the heat and humidity for the start of next week. Monday, I think it reaches the hottest temperatures of the 10-day forecast window, and I am also thinking that heat and humidity will likely then serve to increase instability, such that as we move through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this coming week, I have chances of thunderstorms in the forecast every day. I think they will be hit and miss, but I will not rule them out anywhere. Daily coverage 60, maybe 70%, and we're looking at combined rain totals for the week, likely anywhere from 1 to 2 inches. Now, it doesn't come all at once. And again, just like, 2 weeks ago now, or at least a week and a half ago, the thunderstorms that developed there put down some very heavy rains in highly localized areas, and it led to this very wide spread in terms of who got what. I just talked with a farmer yesterday that said, hey, I missed those rains. I need moisture immediately. So we could be looking at the same setup here. The areas that missed on the rains 10 days ago were more central and southern Indiana. The northern part of the state got pounded. This time it looks like, again, we're going to be seeing bigger threats, Michigan and northern Indiana particularly, as we move through the second half of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But like I said, I will not rule them out anywhere. I think Saturday the 28th, we start to dry down a little bit. Still a chance for some pop-up showers and storms, but temperatures ease back just a little bit. Sunday the 29th and Monday the 30th, I believe we will be looking at partly to mostly sunny skies in there. And that week then of a transition from the month of August to the month of September, I do believe we pull back on moisture a little bit more, mostly due to the fact that air masses cool slightly and we see humidity levels pull down. There's not as much moisture to draw out of the atmosphere with these pop-up events. So that's the setup here. After a relatively dry week this past week, we're shifting the pendulum back to the wet side of things in the week coming up. And like I said, heat and humidity, the biggest story. I'm Ryan Martin.
My name's Tom McKinney. I'm a farmer here in west side of Tipton County. There's a new crop on the horizon, and you only plant it once, but it can harvest energy and money for years. I'm talking about solar farms that typically use only about 1 or 2% of the county's farmland. Solar farms are investments from private companies that pay millions to our communities and schools with property taxes, and renewables mean money in my pocket too. As a farmer, I know what's best for my family and my land. Learn more about renewable energy at HoosiersForRenewables.com.
Welcome back to Hoosier Ag This Week. I'm Eric Pfeiffer from Hoosier Ag Today, running down the top news in Indiana and U.S. agriculture. The Purdue Crop Chat podcast features Purdue Extension soybean specialist Sean Castile and corn specialist Dan Quinn discussing current crop conditions around the state. We just sat down to record another podcast. It's available now at HoosierAgToday.com. Castile says that growing up, it was always said that August is the month that makes or breaks soybeans. He says that's changed a little bit.
It's mid-August to mid-September, that month period, that 30-day period. And, and this year, we definitely need those timely rains. You drive around, we've got sand ridges that are drying up. Just beans are they're senescing or dropping leaves. And again, that goes back to, I think, a compromised root system, and then we start to dry out. Certainly we had a period where we're dry but not excessive temperatures, and so we were able to get through that. But now last week when we turned dry and hot, just a nasty combination whenever we're looking at pod retention and seed fill. we'll use a quarter inch, 3/10 of an inch of water a day just in the crop alone. And if we don't have that and we don't have the root systems to access that soil profile, we're going to get sold short.
Timely rains will be important for corn as well. Quinn says this corn crop isn't made just yet.
I always tell folks, you look at the last 30 days of a corn crop. So when it hits dent, that R5 growth stage, until R6, which is black layer physiological maturity, that corn crop, looking at that kernel, still has about 50% of its kernel weight yet to go. So if stress comes in, if it turns too dry, you can really hinder some of that kernel weight, and that's an important yield component for corn.
Much more with Quinn and Castile in the Purdue Crop Chat podcast. Find it wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Hoosier Ag Today. Each year, Purdue Extension honors women in agriculture who have made a difference. This year's honorees helped tell the story of agriculture to those outside our industry. Gary Truitt has the story.
This year, Isabella Chisholm and Dr. Tracy Egger were honored. Both have been leaders, mentors, and communicators for agriculture. Chisholm did not grow up on a farm, but now farms in Howard County. She said this has allowed her to talk about agriculture from both an inside and outside perspective.
I think it's critical because they don't see what we do or why we do it in the same way. And for someone to be able to have eyes to see that is within and able to tell our story out there, it's critical right now.
Edgar, a longtime Purdue mentor and now with AgReliant Genetics, told Hoosier Ag Today it's important that farmers speak with passion about what they do.
Most importantly, we have to believe in the products that we're raising, whether it's animal protein products or corn and soybeans for animal feed or vegetables and fruits for human consumption. Whatever facet of agriculture we're all involved in, it's so imperative that we share our story about how food is grown.
The Purdue Extension Women in Agriculture team provides educational opportunities and resources for women in agriculture. It also coordinates the Midwest Women in Agriculture Conference. I'm Gary Truitt.
United States Representatives Jim Baird, Greg Pence, and Victoria Spartz heard from farmers and farm groups during a Farm Bill listening session at the State Fairgrounds Wednesday. The existing Farm Bill runs through 2023. So why have a listening session now? Baird explains.
It always amazes me. The last Farm Bill we passed was in December of 2018, so we just barely got it under the wire. So I think it's a responsibility for us on the Ag Committee, of which I am a member, to start that conversation now. We're halfway through, and I realize we've had a pandemic, but we're halfway through, more than halfway through, to the need for the next Farm Bill.
Baird told Hoosier Ag Today what he expected to hear from farmers during the listening session.
They're going to want to keep the risk management part of that. Our financial members, our banks and so on, have appreciated having that risk management where we can fall back and we can purchase insurance to protect us, because the dollars that are involved in these farms are significant, and you cannot afford to lose a year's production.
He added that agriculture needs to be part of the conversation surrounding climate change.
We are looking to address, not in some of the ways that other people have, but I think it's relevant that we be starting our conversations or involved in our conversations about climate change, because agriculture has been involved in conservation for years, and trees and the forest industry have been involved in capturing carbon, and we got grasslands and so on, and even in the crops that we can capture carbon, we're figuring out ways to go below or into the soil and make sure we capture that carbon and keep it there. So those discussions are all relevant, and the kinds of things that I think we'll have discussions about here today.
Congressman Pence shared with us his primary concern for the next Farm Bill.
The one thing I'm a little concerned about as we go forward, I am a Republican, and increased regulation on the ag industry is something I'm a little concerned about, and I hope to hear them talk about that today and what specifically they are fearful of.
Hear my full interview with Congressman Baird at HoosierAgToday.com. USDA's been busy this week announcing improvements to the dairy safety net and a new pandemic market volatility assistance program. Also, USDA is accepting applications to help cover costs for organic certification. You can read about this and find much more farm news at HoosierAgToday.com. You're listening to Hoosier Ag This Week from Hoosier Ag Today.
This is Money Minutes, farm financial tips from AgriFinancial's ag experts. Today we're talking with Sonia Evans, a 26-year veteran of the industry. Our topic this month, lines of credit. Sonia, so far in our series we've been talking about taking out a line of credit. What about paying it back?
In regards to the paybacks, principal can be paid down at any time throughout the loan. And then there's just required interest payments on these loans that are required to be paid twice a year, and that's in January and July.
And how does a farmer go about making that payment?
Payments are made very easily. They can always go on to our website and make their payments through our website, which is the www.cgb-agfi.com. They can make their payments there. They can also make the payments by sending in a check. They can send in a wire, or they can do the ACH option also.
To connect with Sonia, visit cgb-agfi.com and join us again for another edition of Money Minutes from AgriFinancial.
Solar energy does more than just provide electricity to Indiana homes and businesses. Privately funded solar projects can mean millions of tax dollars for our communities and for farmers. In some Indiana counties, solar projects have helped to provide high-speed broadband for many people. Solar projects help schools and libraries, make road improvements, and more. And solar projects mean we can provide affordable, reliable, and clean energy for Indiana's future. Learn more at HoosiersForRenewables.com.
My name's Tom McKinney. I'm a farmer here in west side of Tipton County. There's a new crop on the horizon, and you only plant it once, but it can harvest energy and money for years. I'm talking about solar farms that typically use only about 1 or 2% of the county's farmland. Solar farms are investments from private companies that pay millions to our communities and schools with property taxes, and renewables mean money in my pocket too. As a farmer, I know what's best for my family and my land. Learn more about renewable energy at HoosiersForRenewables.com.
Welcome back to Hoosier Ag This Week. From Hoosier Ag Today, I'm Eric Pfeiffer. We're running down the top news in Indiana and U.S. agriculture. Former USDA Undersecretary Ted McKinney was back home again in Indiana last week. McKinney spoke with Hoosier Ag Today about trade and his future plans. As for trade, the Biden administration is yet to announce who will fill McKinney's previous position as Undersecretary for Trade and Foreign Agricultural Affairs, and they've yet to designate a chief agricultural negotiator in the Office of the United States Trade Representative. When I asked McKinney about this, he said it could be because trade is going pretty well right now, so they're focusing on other priorities.
You've seen the prices of some of our feed grains that are exported and shipped over. You've seen the price of not all, but some of the animal protein categories. And so maybe there's just a satisfaction that that's okay, it's in good shape, let's focus on other needs. But sooner than later, they will need to, and I hope they will fill both of them, because I think we proved that you can make not just a difference, but an enormous difference. So I would say I'm very proud of where we left it, and we're seeing that in the markets. But you're only as good as your last trip, your last visit, your last problem solved. And the longer we go, those opportunities for nefarious behavior by trading partners is always going to crop up.
As for his future plans,
well, I don't know. My wife and I have always been comfortable to leave that hand in the divine hand. And there's a couple things whispering in the wind I probably should stay quiet about, but maybe in a month, 2 months, perhaps on a stretch, 3 months, that will be revealed.
He does say that Indiana will be, at some point, home again for the McKinneys. McKinney was in Indiana last week to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Agribusiness Council of Indiana.
When I learned from Amy Cornell, its CEO, I was just surprised. I sort of wondered what nominating committee did that. And then I got to reflecting, and a lot of my experience through my corporate career and then as state director of the Department of Ag and then the undersecretary all started on the Indiana Plant Food and Ag Chem Board, which morphed into Agribusiness Council. And that afforded me the chance to work with the Office of the Indiana State Chemist, among others. And all these things are things I relied on in numerous jobs, the state job, but most certainly as undersecretary. So I was flattered. I tried to name some names of people I saw in the audience whose shoulders I stood on. I mean, they took pity on some poor young, in FFA we'd call it a green hand, maybe greenhorn is the better word. And I'm very grateful and honored, and to be in the company of Sonny Beck, who won the inaugural award last year, is is rare. It's a rare space, so I'm very grateful and appreciative.
You can hear my full interview with McKinney at HoosierAgToday.com. Now, this one I'm excited about. If you like bacon, then you will love Delphi, Indiana, next weekend, Saturday, August 28th, from 3 to 11 p.m. Andy Eubank has the details.
The Carroll County community, in an Indiana hotspot for pork production, knows that everything is better with bacon. If you agree, then check out the 8th annual Indiana Bacon Festival.
We're expecting very large crowds this year. It's all about bacon, bands, and brew.
Julia Leahy, Executive Director of the Carroll County Chamber.
Think Blue Oyster Cult's our headline band, live music all day long. We have tons of food vendors. I'm looking over the food list, and there's just, I can't even highlight it. There's so many great food items. And then we have a family zone, barbecue cook-off, bacon eating contest, even if you want to see how many slices of bacon you can eat in 5 minutes. So we've got a lot of fun things planned.
Bacon is not just the theme, it is a hard and fast rule for food vendors.
Every food vendor can have 4 food items they serve. 3 of them has to have Indiana Kitchen bacon or pork in the very least. New this year is somebody who want to do chicken legs. Well, okay, but you better wrap it in bacon, so we're going to have bacon-wrapped chicken legs.
Indiana Kitchen is the presenting sponsor. That's part of Indiana Packers Corporation. That company and local farmers are key to the Indiana Bacon Festival.
You know, the farmers, a lot of them work with Indiana Packers Corporation, and we could not do this without Indiana Packers and the Indiana Kitchen Bacon products. They're the lifeblood of what we're doing. And farmers love the event. I think they bring their friends. It's just a whole different way to celebrate what they do, and it brings more attention to how important agriculture is to not only Carroll County but the state of Indiana.
Also key are 300 volunteers representing local not-for-profits. In addition to the entertainment, your $7 in advance ticket price, $10 at the gate, supports those same organizations. Kids from 2 to 10 are just $2. Learn more in the Full Hat interview, and you can buy tickets online too. We have all the links at HoosierAgToday.com. I'm Andy Eubank.
All right, Andy, thanks. And I just might be interested in the bacon eating contest myself. We'll just have to wait and see. Hey, if you don't follow us on social media right now, you really should. We're at Hoosier Ag Today on Facebook and Twitter. And throughout the week this week, and even on the day of the Big Bacon Festival in Delphi, we'll be giving away some freebies on our social media channels. Again, that's at Hoosier Ag Today on Facebook and Twitter. Be sure to find us there. And with that, you are now up to date on all things Indiana agriculture. Stay that way by tuning in each and every weekday to this Hoosier Ag Today station. I'm Eric Pfeiffer. This has been Hoosier Ag This Week from Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's Farm Network.